Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night. It's a bit different for a change, isn't it? Thursday night. How are we all this evening? Oh, sorry, my computer's gone crazy already. Okay. Technology, what can we do with it? What can we do without it? It's all very good. Welcome. And Janine is jumping straight in. A gorgeous one there. Jumping straight in with the first comment. Wow. Bless you, my love. I hope you're tucked up in bed nice and warm because it's raining here. It's freezing cold. It's just like too cold for the good old caftans. So it's just like, we have to do something different. But that's okay. As everybody knows, why is this gone crazy? Everybody knows housework in the beginning. Like and share this live feed to either your own page, to your friend's page, to anywhere that you choose to, any of your groups. And yet, if you're after a guaranteed reading, I'm focusing on my phone to start sharing the page myself. That's how bad I am. And I've lost my page. It looks like we're going to be in for a fabulous night. Like, seriously. Anyway, yeah. Housework at the beginning, if you wouldn't mind, if you can like the live feed, share it to any of your pages. I know I've got some beautiful earth angels already from overseas. I've got someone, Kathleen, who's logged in from Rhode Island, USA. How absolutely wonderful are you coming in and watching tonight? So as I've said, a bit of housework. Like and share the live feed, and so forth. Like my other pages if you wish. That'd be great. But also too, if you're looking for an absolutely guaranteed reading tonight, if that's on, and it's scrolling along the bottom of the screen, it's also been on my page for the last 2 days. That if you really wanting to connect with spirit and have a guaranteed reading this evening, please pop 10 or donate $10 into my PayPal, and we can go from there. Otherwise, I'll randomly just pick someone and virtually pick a card for them. So as we wait for people to join, I'm just going to say, I've already said hello to the beautiful Danina. Hello to you, Christine, Shaish, Mary, Karen, and Andrew, good evening. Welcome. Nat, Stella, as I said, Kathleen from the USA, absolutely brilliant. Michael's joined. I believe, Michael, you're not as cold as what I am. I believe you're probably got your feet up with a glass of champers in your hand, have you? That really wouldn't surprise me. So, yeah, very, very interesting. And a few things have kind of been going on the last few weeks where I have been a bit absent from my live feed. So I do apologise for anyone who has, scheduled in their diaries that I'm going to be on, either on a Tuesday or a Thursday. I do apologise. I've had a lot of other pressing things that I've had to attend to. Good evening, Jean. Good evening, Natalie. Sari, Kathlena, Marlene, Michael. Yeah, winter is horrible. Not where you are in Port Douglas. Anyway, yeah, had a few things going on, so I haven't been very visible on the Facebook Lives. So I do apologise for that. However, some sort of regularity will come back into the mix shortly. There's just been a few very pressing things that have been going on, but all is well, all is well in the big wide world. And it's funny how certain things come up, and I will get into, readings shortly. Jenny, hello. Chantel, good evening. Yeah, so there's there's probably a few points of discussion that we will kind of pause and talk about tonight, and mainly mainly a few things around what I've noticed in both my Ms Tique work and my like Aspire to Inspire work, is the incredible amount of focus that is back on social media. And yes, I know with COVID last year, and when Melbourne's had another outbreak. So if anyone's watching from Melbourne, I'm sorry that you're back in lockdown again. Everybody has their thoughts on COVID and the jabs and all that sort of stuff, and this isn't the forum to argue for or against. So we'll just leave that one alone. But it's funny how a lot of people are really getting back into being more engrossed in certain things in social media. So much so, I probably all want you. I know we've had the total eclipse and the full moon and such, which is absolutely extraordinary. If anyone hasn't seen some of the photographs that I captured on my phone, go and take a look, because the new Samsung 21 Ultra, you can zoom 100 times. And I've got some fab photos of the moon and the eclipse, on my pages. So that was pretty awesome. But that highlighted again what some people are focusing on in social media. So what I mean by that is a lot of keyboard warriors, a lot of people who sit behind the keyboard and don't actually have a proper communication conversation with you, and people who will just randomly, ask a question, like nothing to do with psychic work, of course, just jump in, ask a question, and they don't want to kind of associate with people. So I have a lot of people that have gone back to the realm of, oh my God, like what if somebody doesn't like me because they're not, commenting on my Facebook? What if, in my friends list, they're only communicating with me by SMS? You need to look at that. If someone's only communicating with you by SMS and they live close by or whatnot, no, they don't have time for you. You don't have time for them. It's taking on board an unnecessary stress. I needed to highlight that tonight because I've just had a, influx of all these people, and I'll say probably 10 that are too focused on social media. Like, I put up post of a morning, like all positive affirmations and things like that, all over and done with in the morning. Good evening, Sarah. Good evening, Lola and Haley. Thank you for joining. And I'm kind of done and dusted for the day. I don't go back and kind of go, wow, only 4 people like my stuff today. Wow, only 1 person liked my stuff today. Because I don't do it for that. I do it so I can empower you every day. If someone's feeling bad at them, like when they get up of the day and there's a nice positive affirmation or something already there, I just think that helps that person embrace the day. And that's what I'm all about. So, the realms of social media rearing its ugly head again. And Liz, hello. We have to put it all in perspective. We have to put our own lives in perspective and work out what's really important to us. Because when you know what's important to you, you'll understand the importance of everything else. And you'll start putting them all in different categories, yeah? Melissa, good evening. So, yeah, it's I don't want people to be over-structured with it. I just kind of wanted to bring it up again because I've just had so many clients with similar or same issues where it's just like, wow, what can I say without breaching privacy? Like, what can I say that can empower other people to kind of realize what's going on in that world? And look, I understand through COVID when no one could catch up and nobody could, meet and have lunch with someone or dinner with someone. And that was really tough for a lot of people. So social media and texting and all that sort of stuff was really, really important. Yes, I understand that Melbourne's gone back down into lockdown, and overseas, there's some countries overseas that are really, really struggling. And I understand all that. But that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Those sorts of things are totally, explainable, if that's the way of saying it. Good evening, Sandra. Thank you for joining. So when they're explainable, that's a difference. And that's a big difference. When somebody is, what can I say, if somebody is a colleague, or if somebody is and hardly ever sees you, it would be nice if, pick up the phone, have a chat. Don't worry about what each other's doing. In this industry, there is no competition. Forget that sort of rubbish, because there's so many psychics, there's so many that are good, there's some that are fake, there's some that are bad. The world is full of, like, a bucket full of all these different types. We are drawn to certain types. And I've always said, 7 years ago on Psychic TV, I was one of the first people to say, we are all very different, and we all bring something else to the table. So it's who you actually resonate with. Yeah. So stop being all in competition, and it will probably happen in a wide range of businesses. Jean, I love seeing them every morning. Sometimes I just read and leave. Yeah, correct. Read and leave. I don't expect everybody to comment. Just might put a smile on someone's face. That's the reason. Now I've lost my train of thought, of course. Which often happens, but that's okay. Sonia, hello. I love these mystique moments. Michael on Psychic TV, my mystique moments was all about, I'd write a poem throughout the day for whatever the theme of the night was, and I'd read that for our viewers. That's where the label of mystique moments came. But I use it quite often now when I'm, maybe having one of these moments and having a mystique moment. But it's all good. But just don't let social media, regardless of COVID, take over your life. If somebody wants to be in your life, if they live too far away, great. FaceTime, phone calls, that's fabulous, because you're having a whole conversation, not just a line here, a line there, a line here, and all that sort of stuff. It's a really big issue, and I unfortunately had someone call me toxic just today, which is probably why it's fresh in my head, because they said something that, some of my feeds were, taking up too much of their page. And I said, simple answer to that, I'll just delete myself. Then you won't have to worry. And for doing that, doing something that they've asked me to do, now they're saying that I'm toxic. So do you know what? Knock your brains out. I know I'm not toxic. Andrew, need your own talk show called Mystique Moments, or even a moment with Mystique. A moment with Mystique, I've actually had that. Andrew, I'll get out my diary from probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I wrote that exact thing, because I had two. I did have the two labels. I forget the other one now. Anyway, I had two, and that was one of them. So you're brilliant. Thank you, Andrew. I love it when people do that. So the other one was just the Mystique moment, of course, and yeah, and the other one was a moment with Mystique. But everybody that is here tonight so far probably knows darn well that there's no moment with Mystique. It's a long moment with Mystique. Nobody really has a short encounter with Mystique, I'm sure. But moments, encounters, they're all fun. They're all good. Oh, we start the night off well. Anyway, let's get down to business, shall we? So it's only ones that guaranteed like reading tonight. Please donate $10 into my PayPal, which is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. Now I'm just going to go down, and again, I appreciate you, Kathleen, tuning in from the Rhode Island, USA. Natalie, I'm just going to jump to you for a sec. Will the panel like my answers tomorrow? Will I relax? Okay, just quickly on that. The answer is, and you're going to laugh because I'm going to say the answer is question mark. Because, and the only reason why I say that, Natalie, is some of your answers aren't pinpointed to what they want to hear, if that makes sense. Okay. So are you able to, if you have your answers prepared, are you able to go over those tonight? And look, I don't want you to overstress too much about it. I'm just hearing that some of them don't have a direct link to the question. And a good example of that is sometimes when I, go off to natter, then I go off subject line. So I know I do that myself when I'm talking on these lives or, something like that. But some of yours go off that subject line. So I just want you to reread them. I think there's only one in particular. I'm being drawn to one. And have a look at number 3. That you might have gone off the subject line. And because of that, if you change that, then I think that will be fine. Will you relax? Well, I hope you can actually talk yourself into relaxing, because the moment you rock up, or even tonight, if you're going to bed tense and you're tense tomorrow, you're kind of asking yourself for some anxiety to come into it. And therefore, when you're answering in front of the panel, then they may not come out the way that you intend them to. So if you can just have a gaze over those, that would be fab. Okay. Who else, please? Ashna, long moment yet memorable ones. Well, yeah, pretty much. I had a moment this afternoon that was supposed to be, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And it was like, 2 hours. But that's okay. That's okay. Hello, my sweet. Yeah, there's kind of there's a Spider. Spider is a voted for the Psychic of the Year Hall of Fame. God love her. I do a few shows with her and Angel at the Easter show, which is always a fab catch up. So Spider, thank you very much for joining. And if Michael's with you, give him a kiss for me. I just hope you're well, and I think you'll be probably in warmer weather than what we've got right now. Damn cold down here. Anyway. Okay, I'm just going to, excuse me for a second, I'm just going to squeeze down the bottom. Okay, Ashna, can I just jump to you for a second? Just to update me, Teachers Council finally, and I mean finally, reassessed my letter. Now I'm back to waiting. Look, that's okay. Do you know what? What I feel about that is, and I won't kind of drag it out too much as such, but what I feel with that is that I'm glad they've actually taken their time, because it just means I believe it means a few eyes have passed over it, and a few eyes have read it. Okay, and it's not about someone just picking it up. Well, when I say picking it up, we all know it's on a computer, but in hindsight, I'll use the words picking it up and running with it. If only one set of eyes does that and kind of pushes it aside, then that's the end of that. So if a few people, what I feel, has picked it up and actually, read it and kind of, having a meeting type thing to discuss it, to analyze it, to do whatever, that is actually a good thing. So don't be nervous. Don't be nervous, because and I don't want to offend any school teachers or anybody in government that works in government, but a lot of times government takes a long time to respond. It's just because they've got probably too much to do and not enough people to do it. Yeah. So I have to also look at that, but I don't want you to feel nervous, because at the end of the day, I'm actually impressed that, to me, 4 people have actually looked at it and they're all talking about it. And I think that's a good thing. So persevere, please, my love. Please persevere. Angela, I've got your message. Thank you so much. Can you actually send me now a question? That would be fabulous. So when Angela sends me a question, I will be jumping off to her, because she's donated the $10 into my PayPal. So I will jump to her as soon as her question comes through. Stella, just have a quick look at this. I'm so frustrated trying to. Okay, I'll take that off. Trying to do PayPal thing, and it's going dumb on me. Why is that always happening to me when I do anything technical? Stella, just be patient with it, because I have noticed too, even on my phone, the last few days, it's a case of, I think Facebook's been down, and I don't know what they're doing because they've had some issues there. PayPal have had some technical issues, I believe, or what I understand it's with Optus, and there was something else. There was another big company. I think it was one of the banks that had issues as well this week. So there's a few things going on. Okay. Yeah, look, actually, and that's a good thing because they're acknowledging, that they know they're taking too long. So that's actually a good thing. So again, you're getting acknowledgement, from them. Yeah. So it's a good thing. Hey, Beck, thank you very much for joining. Welcome aboard. Anyway, let me look at. Angela, have you not sent me your question yet? If you could do that, that would be wonderful. Otherwise, we might have another Mystique moment. People just might get sick of Mystique moments. Actually, next week I might if we've got any special occasions coming up, next week I might, like I did on Psychic TV, have a poem, because I used to write poems for every time I was on. Okay. Thank you, Angela. We lost the father-in-law recently, wondering if he's okay. We didn't get a chance to grieve. Is there anything else I need to know? Yeah, I kind of got that, Angela. That's okay. It's all good. And Angela, do you know what? Before I actually feel the connection with him, I just want to say to you, can you be mindful of your wording? I know that sometimes someone might say that's a bit harsh, but you've written here, we didn't get a chance to grieve. Everybody grieves in their own time. Some people can actually, I'll just take that off the screen. Sometimes people can actually take a year, some people can take 2 years, and some people within a few weeks actually feel okay, but there's a few different stages to grief. So yes, the first part is obviously we lose someone, and the second part generally is anger. The third part is frustration. The fourth part is that, too many people stick their nose in and want to question things and all this sort of stuff, and it can be really, really difficult. So I am, from my heart, really sorry for your loss, but where you've worded it that you didn't have a chance to grieve, you can take all the time that you need, and I guess maybe what you probably meant from that was that you didn't kind of how can I say it? You probably weren't by his side. You probably weren't, and I don't know whether COVID had anything to do with it. Like, I'm not hearing the word COVID, but there's other people. Oh, wow. Okay. Now, I have to say this with the greatest respect because I know you're upset, and I really do mean this with the greatest respect, but it seems like there was other people that thought they were more important, and I'm just wondering if that makes sense to you. And I know in reality that nobody should take the reins to say that they're more important, but it just feels like, to me, I want to say three. It seems like, three others felt like they could do everything, they could fix everything, and I guess that's what I also want to touch on about someone believing they could fix something and didn't actually know the severity of something. Okay. I feel that, but I also have an issue with my right side, not my left side, my right side. And I actually want to, and I don't even know if you know, but I'm being shown that right side towards the bottom of the lung was not great. But I think that was detected quite late. because I feel like, it either collapsed or it was overrun with fluid or something or other. But other people, and that's why I do say everything with respect, it seems like other people thought they had it under control. And I'm not talking about medical people, I'm talking about other people, thought they had it under control, and they didn't. Now, if that makes you upset, then I'm really sorry. However, your father-in-law, and I smile because he's smiling, and the way I feel with that is that your father-in-law knows just how precious you are, and I say that with the greatest respect. Because he has. Okay, you jumped in. Yes, they were never around him, and yes, it was 3 that took over. Yes, he had lung cancer, but it was septicemia that took him. Yes, they didn't listen to us. Look, Angela, I am so sorry. That left part, the right part of the bottom part of my lung, it just felt like I've never been in an avalanche as such, but it just felt something was, just taking it. It didn't actually feel very pleasant. But what I want to say to you, in the process of grieving, and it's really sad that you weren't involved with it, and it's really sad that they didn't listen to you. The unfortunate part about it is that we can't change any of that now, but you can grieve yourself, because there's so much, from what I'm feeling from him, there is so much love coming from him. It's almost like, and I guess you can confirm this to me either, now or later, it doesn't really matter. It's up to you. But when you were first introduced to him, it was almost like you embraced one another really well on that first meeting. To me, that first meeting was like, oh yeah, she's pretty damn good. She'll be good for my family. And that's what comes across from him. Okay. When the spirit wants to tell me so early in the piece that you are good for the family, that means, to me, that means that, spirit really is in the right place. And the connection that you had, although distant for probably the last, I want to say 18 months and possibly even to the 2-year mark. But I think it's those 3 people that kept you at distance. But he did have so much, before he got a bit unwell, he had so much time for you. Yes, we did have a special connection. Yeah, that's great. These are the things that you have to remember, because when you've got a connection that's so pure like that, for somebody who wants to welcome you in the family, that will last, that memory will last you forever. So if I may, if you can sort of say to yourself, and if you can remember how you felt when you did feel so welcome in the family, that will actually help part of your grieving process. It won't stop the grieving process, because you will still need to grieve. But instead of, maybe this is like a little warning, instead of being angry, can you embrace the feelings that you had when you knew that you were welcomed into the family? Because to me, and I don't know what the vest thing is, like he's showing me like dressed in a really smart, sharp vest that's almost, I don't want to say tartan, because it's actually not tartan. I believe it's not tartan at all. But there was a couple of different colours. I don't know whether it was knitted. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm getting the effect of tartan. But there was something pretty, his wording, jazzy about the way he dressed. Spirit's wonderful sometimes. So, he says, because I'm just a jazzy type of guy. That's really funny. This is why I love connecting with spirit, because they say something that, makes a sad moment a good moment, if that's the way of saying that. Yeah. Look, but I also do feel too, there's, you know, okay, you jumped in. He had a check shirt and a smart vest like jacket. He thought he looked good in it. See? So this is why. So I love when spirit says something that is just so specific to them. And that's why I laugh. I get encapsulated in how they're talking to me, where I have to, um, bring him through in the best possible way. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of get, lost in moments where I get serious. My son embalmed him and dressed him and made him look, oh, look, you know what? That, Angela, can I say, if your son did that, embrace him for it. It's not easy. But he did it for a reason, making him look good. Was that so much of an effort? I'm hearing not so much of an effort because he thought he looked good anyway. Oh, that's funny. He thought he looked good anyway. This is him in this vest, this, I don't know, like I said, I don't want to say tartan, but this is him in his vest. And I'm actually enjoying the wonderful connection that you guys had and just the amount of respect that he has for you, I just think that's priceless. I know he struggled, but he wouldn't let anyone else do it. And look, Angela, I'm not surprised, but it is I don't know if your son is with you watching this or anything, but you can pass it on. But he would have, and it would go both ways, the total respect that they have for one another to be able to do that and do that in a manner where he can embrace him, and in turn, Spirit can embrace your son. If you need help understanding that one, I'll talk to you later about it, but I'm sure you get what I mean. That is the highest form of respect that you can give a past loved one. I lost a very close girlfriend of mine, Christmas 2013, and we worked together, and we were pretty crazy together, and we made a pact. Like, she worked at the hospital, and as did I, and we made a pact before she passed and before she lost the to be able to speak. We made a pact that she didn't want anybody else touching her body. She said, you brush my hair, you paint my nails, you wash me. I don't want the wardsman touching me. She'd worked there 25 years and didn't want anyone. So I had to get approval from the medical director. And I said to her, no problem. I'm fine with that. It's all good. And she said, no. She said, but I even want you to take me to the morgue. I want you to hand me over. I want you to do everything. And I'm like, yep, I will honour all that. Now, she also wanted seafood for Christmas lunch. And I'm thinking, you can't eat. Why do you want? I took up seafood and she was gone, And, I went and sat outside. I allowed the family to have all their close time and all that sort of stuff, and gave them all the respect and love that they required at the time. And when they all wanted a break and they all knew it was time to leave, I went in there and I went, thanks, Christmas Day. You'll haunt me Christmas Day. I had to kind of lighten the mood. And yes, I brushed her hair and I painted her nails, and even though that wasn't really allowed, but I did that anyway because that was what she wanted. And, I washed her and done all that. And then I had to get permission, to then, I call it walk. I know this sounds a bit gruesome for some. Please, if you're distressed, please, don't try and take it all in. But I had to put her in a bag. But I say walk, but I had to, wheel her on a trolley to get her to the morgue. Now, I had to ask permission if I could leave her arm out. And the medical director's like, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, I need to hold her hand all the way. And he said, really? Are you okay with that? And I said, I need to hold her hand all the way. And I did. She'll probably come through actually tonight now I'm talking about her, which she does. She normally breaks a crystal, so, it's her way of saying I have too many crystals. But taking her to the morgue and placing her where I had to, and I don't think I have to tell you all where that is, was the hardest thing I had to do. I connect with Spirit every day. I speak at many of my friends' parents' funerals and stuff like that because I associate, with the deceased, and I'm okay with that. But she was my best friend. Making a pact like that. And so I praise your son for doing what he did because it's pretty tough, it's pretty tough. But yeah, and things happen. Things happen because I lost her Christmas Day 2013, and 2 days later I lost my brother. And the funerals ended up being like, one on a Thursday and one on a Friday. And I was speaking at both, and the same funeral company had both of them. And they just looked at me and they went, really? This is what happens, So when people ask me about people passing and all the rest of it, and they think just because, we're psychic and all the rest of it, that we actually don't feel, we do feel, we're still human, we do feel. And, it can be tough. My son has the psychic abilities, so he was able to talk to him. I'm not angry anymore. It's the kids that hurt more, and my partner still struggles, and we weren't the closest to him. The others weren't. It was more show. Look, Angela, I totally understand, And yes, but not enough crystals ever. That's correct. That's why I go crook on Janine every time she breaks one. I'm like, really? You want to break another crystal? But she's kind of stopped that now. But she is quite boisterous when she comes through. But I stood back and I said, even to the funeral director, my bestie and my brother didn't actually know one another. They were in different hospitals. But every time I visited Janine, even at the stage where she couldn't talk, or got to the stage where she was struggling to talk, she'd put when she could talk, she would say, when I walked in, is Jeff still with us? And I'd say, yep. And she'd put a thumbs up. So when she couldn't talk, I'd walk in and she'd just put a thumbs up, and I'd say, yep, he's still with us, So I said, the funeral company, since you got both, can you actually put them together so they can actually meet one another and have a chat? Lady at the funeral parlour said, I know what you do, Robin, and I can do that for you, and I'll make sure. And I went, yeah, great, you do that. Pretty funny stuff. But, sometimes, and I don't mean to, Angela, for you to feel that I'm mocking anyone or disrespecting the deceased, because I'm not. In a world full of sadness and pain when somebody passes, sometimes you just have to find something good out of it, to kind of make you feel a little bit better, because we're still here. And when somebody passes, they don't actually want you to be sad. And I've said this many, many times, because it comes through from many, many spirits. They would rather you look up to the sky and smile than watch you in a corner or at a desk or something, rather crying. They really would, because they know that you'll embrace them. They know that you love them. But when it's their time, they can't make themselves stay, if that's the best way I can say that. Okay? So there is no suffering. He loves you. Please tell your husband. And the words that I'm hearing is, okay, another cheeky one. Whatever football team your partner goes for, your father-in-law doesn't. So there's a little bet on apparently this year about who's going to win what. So he's saying, don't get cocky about your football team. That's for your partner. To your son, nothing but pure respect. He thanks you, and he thanks him for taking his hand, and I say this with respect, taking his hand, and literally taking his hand, saying his goodbyes, but giving him a blessing on the way. Yeah? Your son was able to do that. And, from him to all of you, massive hugs, massive hugs. He was cheeky, and he was here every weekend watching the rugby, Go figure. This is what I love, what I do. I am so authentic and natural with spirit. And I only say what I hear. It is just, it's extraordinary. I love what I do. Rebecca, this is a conversation I had with my mum before she passed. She told me how she wanted to stay so icy, but yeah, it is. We were with him when he saw the light and went, And the left hand, who was stroking his left hand? Like, up his hand and then up his arm. I believe. No, I believe the tubes were out by then. I believe the tubes were out. But who was stroking his left hand, or sitting on his left side and hanging onto his hand and talking? Because that, if it was you or your son or his son, whoever had his left hand, he's telling me to thank you for slowing down his heart rate, for allowing him, wow, I have to say this is exactly as I hear it, allowing him to pass in peace, feeling everybody's love, feeling that he already knew that you guys were in pain, but he knew you'd be okay. And him just knowing that you'd be okay, and you would all respect that there was nothing more, he was okay to go. So I hope that makes a whole lot of sense. I hope that makes a whole lot of sense, because that's just, Oh, look, thank you, Angela, and thank you to your son. If your son has said that, I really do appreciate that. Your son has a heart of gold, and he will do well. If he's ever, because you mentioned about his psychic stuff, if he's ever stuck on any information or whatnot, tell him to contact me, and he might need some explanations on things or something, but greatest respect. So I hope that's okay. Blessings. That was quite deep. Emotional too, but that's how spirit rolls. Anyway, Angela, thank you for the privilege of allowing me to connect with him. He's stubborn on that department. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But yeah, anyway. Stella, my grandma is now in palliative care, and I just am worried she will suffer. Is it painful to die? She said she saw my grandpa and yelled at him about taking her to Altona, which is where the memorial park is, and that he didn't answer her. He passed away 3 years ago. I think she is ready to be with him and cannot understand why he won't take her to be with him. Okay, Stella, let me put some things in perspective first, okay? And again, with you, I say things with respect. Is it painful to die? Very open question. My answer will be no, but a question mark, of course, if somebody is, because other people will say, yes, my mother suffered or my father suffered and whatever. So in the pure honesty of this response is, if somebody has a long-term illness and they are suffering and they are in pain, they're alive when they're going through that. And sometimes medications don't help them to the degree to put that pain at ease. So they're actually alive while that's happening, if you understand what I mean. Now, if somebody has a car accident, for instance, and has horrific injuries, like at first that might be extremely painful. They may have to have operations, they may have to go into rehab, they might have to learn how to walk again. All that is extremely painful, but they are actually alive while all that's happening. Is it painful to die? By the time either the universe has said you've had enough, or the person themselves have said I've had enough and it's time for me to go, that part is actually not painful. And I've been with many, many people. I have many friends and acquaintances that, will ring me and say, we've been told our dad or mum or husband, wife, child, won't make it through the night. Can you come? Can you give them a blessing? And 9 times out of 10, I can. sometimes I can't. But in doing that, I kind of know that at times it doesn't matter what I say or how I say it. I personally know that, they may go, and I probably would know before others, because I normally get to sense that spirit is here, like a relative of theirs or whatnot, that spirit is here to actually take them. That's when I know it's time. Okay. I'm not saying that, that your dad, granddad, doesn't want to take her. I don't believe she's fully, again, with respect, as much as you think that she might be suffering, I don't think she's fully designed herself to go. I believe that she still wants to do something else. And whether that's to say something to someone, to finish off, okay, I'm now being shown some paperwork. I don't think she's in any state to do paperwork, but my dad in spirit world is actually showing me there's something to do with paperwork. She's not finished doing something. Now, did she? It's not paperwork as in, stuff that she has to do as such. Was she like, in her younger years, was she a poet or was she a writer? I believe that something that she started is not finished. And in her mind, and as I've said to many people, like, even in counseling, your conscious mind does not ever go to sleep. You're wrong way. Your subconscious mind never goes to sleep, but your conscious mind does. So there's something in her subconscious, because I don't think that she's, with respect, fully coherent to be actually thinking or saying out loud, I haven't finished something. But I hear that she started to write something and it's not finished. So to her, she's not finished. Okay. So it's not granddad not willing to take her. He will come back and get her when the time is right, and he will be there. He will what I call transition her. He will hold her hand and transition her. And I have no doubt about that whatsoever. But I just believe there's something that she's got in her mind. Now, I'm not sure, because you're in Melbourne, aren't you? So I'm not sure if anyone is able to. Oh, you're in lockdown okay. Because I was just about to say, I'm not sure if anyone can go there and like prompt that memory in her, like talk about it, just in case there's a few things that a nurse knows or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I do believe that I do believe, I wouldn't call it memoirs. I believe she has something to share, and maybe granddad's not going to like it, but it's loving, it's funny, it's like and maybe she wants to be remembered too, and leave something behind, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I do actually want to say to you, if the unfortunate happens and she doesn't get to finish it, it's not overly important, because at the end of the day, you will find out about it. So I'm hearing that you will find out about it, and I actually hear that. I actually hear that somebody already knows. Okay, so you've just jumped in. That makes sense. She's 101, so I can't really write properly anymore. I wonder what she wrote. We are allowed to see her because they are worried she's not doing well, but only two at a time. Stella, can you do me the favour? Well, it's not really a favour for me, but can you go and visit her? Can you go and have like a chat? And even if she can't respond, there will be some hand movements, there will be some facial expressions. And I want to say to you that, okay. So I have your granddad who is virtually saying, if you're there and you feel him, don't jump to the conclusion that at that very moment that he's there to take her. Okay. Now I'm getting a pain. Oh, okay. I'm getting a pain in my chest. This is not good. Okay. So Granddad either left this realm with heart, but I also feel that she has an issue with her heart as well. But also too, Granddad is saying where his grave is. What is the heart association with the grave? If you can let me know that, that'd be good. Yeah. Something going on with, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I don't know when the last time you were able to get to even his grave. There's something around at his grave. Maybe that's when he passed. You wrote or you did something with a heart. There's something around the heart. Okay. Okay. But yeah, with Grandma, I love her. Like he's showing me, her spirit and stuff like that in the sense of like I'm talking about like her personality spirit, like, in her, and I want to call it this, in her heyday, she was so much fun. She was so energetic. I won't say she was the life of the party, but she knew how to, in a sense, she knew how to embrace a party. Is the best way of saying that. Yeah. Okay. And I'm also hearing wow. Okay. You need to take a leaf out of her book. That's a cute one. You need to take a leaf out of her book. My granddad says, "Don't go to the extremes that she did." Oh, this is getting funny now. Don't go to the extremes that she did. So she must have had, she must have some stories. I mean, I don't know whether you've heard stories over the years, but even have a chat to your mum and your auntie. Your mum and your auntie seem to have some stories. Okay, and I'll probably just leave it there at the moment. And look, I know a few people have donated into my PayPal. I will get to you. Do not stress. I just need to go back up and find everybody in order. But yes, please do not stress. I will get to you. Stella, I hope that helped you, and I hope to me, I think, or I feel actually, not I think, I feel you will get to have a couple of chats with her, yeah? And it's all good. It's all good. Oh, Rebecca, you're so cute. Okay, I really have to find who's in order here. Everybody, please bear with me for 2 seconds. Oh, my computer's crazy. Jean, before I get into these other paid ones, I need to say to you, absolutely 100%. And I also believe there'll be someone there to hold his hand. Somebody that's passed before will be there to hold his hand. But also too, just so you know, please let your friend know that it will be extremely peaceful, and he will already, even tonight, he will already look at peace. He will look peaceful. He's had a tough journey, and with the greatest respect, it's time that journey allowed him to walk to another journey. Yeah. Because it is his time, and by I want to kind of say too much, but by turning off, it will allow him, and it will give him the greatest peace, because not very good the way it is. Yeah, I'm sure you'll understand that. I was a bit broken up, but I'm sure you'll understand that. Yeah. Okay. And Jean, if your friend needs a bit of a hand after the fact, please let me know, or let her know when the timing is right. Yeah. Elsa, excuse me. When will I reconcile with my husband? What's my father's? He has crossed over. Advice on my broken marriage. Okay. Also, have you started talks on this? Of course, not with your father. I'll get into that a bit later. Have you entered into discussions with your partner? Sorry, spirits just attacked my throat then. So I've got a spirit here that clearly had issues with the esophagus and the throat, where they want to show themselves that in that manner. Elsa, I need to ask about conversations that you've had about, with hubby about reconciling. There seems to, what I get shown, 4. Okay. There seems to be 4 different parts of the being apart, if that makes sense. I keep getting shown 4. So there must have been, and they don't all have to be big things, but I keep getting shown the number 4. So to me, when spirit just keeps showing me something in my face all the time, I have to roll with it. So there seems to be 4 different things that, the way I'm being told, required attention, and that's a pretty harsh way of saying that. 4 things. 4 things that seems to have been the breakdown from 4 different things. I don't know whether you can jump in at some point and respond to that. Now, I'm not sure if I actually have your dad. I have a gentleman here with a top hat. Now, I haven't seen someone with a top hat for a very long time, and the top hat has some relevance somewhere, because he's not a man that would generally wear a top hat. And I need to know what the relevance is with the top hat, because it's almost like he comes forward and then he walks back away again. He comes forward and he walks. So what is he frightened of? Like, he's got, well, I shouldn't say the word frightened. That would probably be more of, every time he goes to say something, he then gets shut off. Every time he goes to say, he gets shut off. So when he was here, was he allowed to embrace a conversation? Was he allowed to was he allowed to complete sentences every time, like if he spoke at the dinner table, or spoke with a few people at once? It seems like every time he had something to say, he would get cut off, because every time he comes forward, he then goes back. So I have to kind of acknowledge what that is. I said the top had, top hat. So there's something with a top hat. But that's okay. That will obviously be relevant to you. Now, I have to come back to that 4 because, again, Spirit keeps showing me the 4. And your dad is more about also, too, with a person that's, okay, he's very, okay, I don't want to call him hard, but he's very matter of fact. So if you haven't had a conversation with your hubby about these 4 particular areas that might be of issue, then I dare say, you're headed down a path of voicing too loud. When I say voicing too loud, that would mean your voices are probably not going to be heard. So is that paper across tables? Is that then, if your voices aren't heard, does that mean then that you've things are written and you're reading one another's questions or answers or whatever else? So I have to look at it in that manner, because if Spirit tells me that your voices aren't being heard, that means your voice is not being heard to him and his voice is not being heard to you. So there's some confliction going on there with actually what is going on as such. So you're asking when you're going to reconcile, yet I don't see that happening. I have to be 100% honest. The next 12 months, I don't actually see that coming in. I see more of trying to get through these 4 issues. And I have to say it as I hear it, be mindful of other people throwing too much opinionated stuff at you. Very, very careful on that, because everybody has an opinion, because everyone's entitled to an opinion, but it's what you do with that opinion that matters. This is your life. Now, if you believe that reconciliation is on the cards, then you must, you must work to a way that you're happy with what you're reading. And I say that with respect in this reading business. It seems like nobody wants to talk up. Nobody wants to talk in a room together. Nobody wants to express exactly how they feel with their own emotions coming out of their own voice. Sorry, I sound like I'm lecturing there, but that's how I'm hearing it from Spirit. I hear this very matter of fact. This is not being said. This is not being said. So because they're not being said, to one another's face, if things are being written, it can be taken the wrong way. I would probably ask early in the piece, if that is the case, if you can let me know somewhere, if you have to read certain things rather than actually talk to one another, that can you ask then to have like a mediation or something where you are in the one room. I would just like to see you two, and if you have to have a mediator, so be it, but be in the one room to discuss this, because paper is not going to swing this. Paper is going to get comments. You might read something and feel that, it's said in a wrong way, and you'll take it the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? And that's not going to help you. And that might make you angry, or he might read something that you've apparently said, but because it's not coming from your voice. This is why I hate text messages all the time, because it can be misunderstood. But in something as important as your marriage, you need, if you can get that chance, to actually speak to one another. As I said, even if it's a mediator, ask your lawyer. Please try and get that organised, because certain things will become clearer if you do. That's the top hat. So Spirit showed me the top hat, and that's it. Okay. I knew it would have to fit somewhere because I saw it so clearly, but I was shown like a top hat. Now, because your dad is so matter of fact, and the love between you two is amazing. It's almost like you can read one another's mind a lot. That's probably one thing that you miss greatly by not having him beside you so you can read his mind. He says that with a smile on his face, by the way. It's almost like, well, she can't really now. But he's kind of saying, stand up for what you believe in, because generally you're the first person to do that. Generally, if there's something wrong, you're the one that stands up and speaks. So he's saying, don't be frightened to tell the truth. Don't be frightened to put all your cards on the table. Pardon the pun, because I've got tarot cards here. But don't be frightened of putting all your cards on the table, because if you miss out a few, then maybe the whole thing doesn't come across the way it should. And this is what I come back again to this writing stuff. To me, you're kind of at a stage where, you're not able to sit in a room with one another. Can you jump in somewhere and let me know? That'd be great. I just need to know how that resonates with you, because Spirit keeps showing me this paper stuff. Okay. And my husband released his mother's conspiracies behind our separation. Okay. I'm going to be really honest here and probably say up front, without waiting for Spirit to jump in. Really difficult for me to answer that question, because I pride myself in everything I do is authentic. Now, asking about releasing his mother's conspiracies behind our separation, I don't have mum's energy, right? I don't know what she looks like. I can't feel her. Nobody, Dad's not going to actually show me his mother. It's too far removed as such. What I want to say to you is, whatever she says, whatever she thinks, the truth will come out in the end, but you have to make sure of that. You can't give up on the truth. How can I say? You need to kind of be the one. Yes, it does resonate. My father's perhaps talking about the court case. Okay. You actually need to be the one that sort of says, whether you get the chance, and I hope you do, to say it to your husband's face. You can say something like, if you want to believe your mother, you go ahead and do so, but you are my husband and you know me. Put it back on him. He knows you. He knew you before you married him. He knows you as a person. He also knows you as his wife. Now, mums can play a big part. If they're a mummy's boy, sure, they can. However, there will come a time that you can break it if you persevere with having the truth be said, having the truth put back at him, but not in an arrogant way. Certainly not in an arrogant way, because he will automatically get his back up. And the minute he gets his back up and says something to his mum will say, I told you so. So that has to be done very calmly. That's why I'm saying, kind of speak to one of your lawyers or somebody to try and get this mediation. Try and get something across the table, where it can be civil, where you can voice your opinion, he can voice yours, but the level of conversation stays at a level that doesn't come across as angry, doesn't come across as frustrated, just so your voice can be heard. This is extremely important, yeah? So I'm not actually going to say that I see you reconciling, and I will be perfectly honest there, because I'm looking at 12 months out already, and I don't see it in that time frame. So I believe that there is a lot of work to do to get to that point, but it's about clear, concise communication, because the mother-in-law is obviously not being clear and concise. She's doing the narcissistic, I want to say my bit and put my 2 bob in, because I will make that disappear. It's probably where the avenue that she's going, yeah? So you need to kind of override that, not by being revengeful or spiteful or anything else, just by continually reassuring him that your love for him and that he knows you. And if you keep enforcing, the comment of, you know me and you know who I am, so therefore those conspiracies that can't be true, you're enforcing that this is the man that fell in love with you, this is the man that fell in love with you for who you are, and this is the man that knows you as his wife. He would know far more personal and private information about you yourself than anybody else on the planet. So let's be clear on that, okay? Let me know how all that goes, and I wish you well with it, but yeah, perseverance. And Dad, yeah, love to Dad. He is I mean, even I don't know how turbans go on. I do apologize for not knowing, but it's like he's tipping the top hat to me and saying thank you and thanks for, like, communicating. So yeah, that's quite lovely. That's a massive sign of respect. So well done to your dad. He's awesome. Thanks, Jean. Thank you so much. Great that you understand. I knew you'd understand. Thank you with all my heart. I feel less stress. I've been worried she will pass soon and I don't see her again. I will see what I can find out. Thank you, Stella. You're beautiful. Okay, now there was... Okay. Hi, Tammy. Thanks for joining. Stella, you've come here with a few different things. He's great. We picked because he did able to see people come and go, and I put his statue of his dog near at his grave. Okay, so the love of his dog might be the love heart that I saw. I'm so glad I went to see her again, actually. I just remember, here we go. I'm so glad I went to see her again. Actually. I just remembered my grandma used to keep diaries of what they did on holidays. Yeah, find those diaries. I think they will be, not for the whole world to see, but they will be some stories that you will just sit there and smile. Please, if you can get a chance to find those diaries. Okay. Oh, Beck, look at you. Dazzling. Oh, God. Okay. I'll take that. Thank you so much, Beck. Beck was one of my what will I call you? One of my early picks on Psychic TV, where she wrote in and had a reading, and it was just an email, and I didn't know her from a bar of soap, and apparently I was spot on with things that were happening then and happening further out, and yeah, she has so much gratitude to me, and I love her dearly. And she's gone through a bit of a rough ride, and I'm really glad to see that, everything now is actually working out. Like I said, I have respect, Beck. It's what you've gone through and how you've stepped up is extraordinary. So well done to you, and I mean that, and I mean it. Okay. Marilyn. I think you were next. I've done it. Here is my question. Should I trust Haydar and Christopher for my business? Haydar and Christopher. Haydar and Christopher. Haydar and Christopher. Okay. What I hear, my love, is wow. Okay. Okay. Bit of a roller coaster, my love. Bit of a roller coaster. Why am I getting roller coaster? Okay. Spirit are kind of I won't say they're having fun, but they're continually showing me this roller coaster, how there's going to be many ups and downs, and this includes all of you. I want to say, I have okay, Christopher. I feel is okay. Okay, I've got to let you know what I just saw. I've got to let you know what I just saw. Okay. If you can stand those two side by side, which you probably you know who they are, I don't, but if you stand those two side by side, the tallest one, which I think is Christopher, is okay. Haydar, I have question marks on. I'm hoping that's not opposite way around, because that's the way I think it is. Can you please, can you jump in and just let me know that sizing, if you wouldn't mind? That would be great. Okay. So Christopher is the tall one, yeah? I think it is anyway. That's what Spirit is showing me. Now, I kind of need to, and I believe too that Christopher is younger than Hader. Anyway, that's kind of irrelevant. So what I get shown is that Christopher is strong. Christopher has a mind that can think outside the square. He is a person. Okay. Wow. Okay, we're getting a lot of information here. He is a person that has substance. So he's a person that will go to deep lengths to make everything go okay, if that makes sense to you. Now the other one I hear has a great mind, but will go to great lengths, but to make himself look good. Now that's probably where I have the issue, because that means that they would build themselves and not build as a team. Okay. Anyone who is in a business partnership or anything like that and is focused on building themselves rather than building the team, that's not going to last. And then that way can draw others to him and not to the team. Does that make sense? So I feel that the other is a little bit greedy, and this is the way I see it, that has come into this, excuse me when I say threesome, but you know what I mean, in trying to better themselves to get ahead for themselves. That's the best way I can say that. Okay? Now that I'm a little bit concerned about, because then that detracts from what you're trying to achieve as a whole. Let me know how that sits with you, because I'm not I'm not totally au fait with it all. Yes, I'm waiting on an investment from Hader. Would it come in soon? If it does come in soon and you're accepting of that, then you're also then accepting that he will work more about how do I say it, putting himself up on the pedestal and doing things for him rather than doing it for the business. I am concerned about that, because I don't want anything to suffer. I don't want anything to come in with it, like, already starting off with a bad taste and then taking more than they should have in the first place. You know what I mean? So I don't know whether you can what is Spirit trying to tell me here? I don't know how far you are. I guess because you're waiting for his investment side of it. I guess contracts have already been done, but I'm just wondering if you can relook at any wording you can change in his contract to make that a little bit more secure, that if he does try and build himself up, that he actually can't take. I'm hoping that makes sense. I just wouldn't. I would just hate, after 6 months or 12 months, that his take is far greater and leaves you with not as much, if that makes sense. Yeah. Whereas, as I said, Christopher will work. He has the brain, he has the knowledge to embrace and engage and have everything work together, and you're all working the same path. But then I have this other that kind of wants to go on a path of their own and build themselves. So so Spirit are kind of directing me to be saying to you, can you then have a look at the contract, and is it too late to change any of the wording? Or have a more, well, I'd still like, pretty much like the contract change, but have a, what's that I was saying, D&M, deep and meaningful, as in talking in general about possibly this has happened before and we don't want it happening again, so henceforth I need to clarify this and I need to clarify that, and talking on that, you're not you're not putting it out there as thinking that it's him. You're talking about like a past experience and henceforth protecting yourself so it doesn't happen again. Yeah. I just wouldn't mind if that can actually take place, because you will actually know. It's my dad here. It's my dad and my nan. Oh my God, they're both saying the same thing. You will know, if you bring this conversation up with him, you will actually know by the expressions on his face, because a lot of, how do I say it? A lot of show ponies and people with a lot of knowledge who can read people have very, very prominent expressions. Yeah. And that's what I see there. And I think you will be able to pick up more on facial expressions when you bring up the subject, and you'll just know. And then you can choose what you do with that knowledge base as such. But yeah, personally, I would really have a look at the contract to see if there's anything that can be changed. And I also want to say to you, I think you've got a female friend in spirit world. I don't know what relevance this is, but the spotted dress comes to mind. That's what I'm being shown, a spotted dress. I think it was her favourite, and maybe you'd commented on it, maybe you've borrowed it. There's something about a bit of a cheeky conversation with a spotted dress. So I'm not actually sure what that is, but she comes through with love and respect as well. Just let me know how you feel about talking about that contract, love. I want what's best for you, and when spirit guides me to something as important as that, and I have to bring that forward, I'm not here to burst anyone's bubble, but I just, I would hope that you would be careful. And if his tail feather gets nipped, so to speak, because you brought it up, well, then that's a good thing, because you're not actually accusing someone of something. You're making sure that everything is a-okay. Okay. So I hope that helps you. Tammy, the question is about my future with my special person. I feel like things are back on track, but it's been 2.5 years. He is not one to talk about feelings. I've tried. Can you tell me anything about what is going on with him, please? Okay, Tammy. He's absolutely not a person that discloses his feelings. And he's not here. He's not here for me to really ask his permission either. Okay. What I actually feel with that is that as a child, he was actually quite shy. He was, how do I say it? He wasn't one of the boys. So he wasn't the roustabout. He wasn't the person who, how do I say it? Oh, thank you, Marilyn. No problem. No problem at all. Yeah, so Spirit have first jumped in with that he's not the roustabout. He wasn't the person that spoke up at school a lot. He wasn't the tough rugby player. I don't know why they're throwing that in there. Maybe that's just to kind of show me his demeanor type thing, but he wasn't the tough rugby player. But when he has your back, he has your back, because Spirit just said he's a man of his word, though, but too shy to go within. When somebody is too shy to go within, they will probably, and this is a shame actually, because if I had him, I would try and bring out some of that personality, because he has it in there. He has that personality in there. But when somebody is that shy within, it's almost like, you will never hear the words "I love you." You will never hear the words of, "I think you're beautiful." There's that moment in time where the brain goes to say it and it just stops. So he might start saying something, and you can kind of see it in his face. And I want to say to you, there's probably some times where you've sat there and going, "Oh, he's going to say it." And it kind of gets to that point, and he doesn't say it. And that must, at times that must annoy you, you know, because because it would be really annoying if you could see that in front of you and kind of feel the moment, and then the moment doesn't happen. You know what I mean? That would be pretty yuck. However, there's something deep in him with his personality that, and where Spirit said that he wasn't aroused about, uh, it's not that out there loud and proud. People will sometimes say to me, oh, if I go somewhere, I'm always loud, they can hear me somewhere. But that would be me having a good time. And I'm not about, like, if I'm paying to go somewhere, or I'm at a nightclub or whatever. I don't go to those very much, often now. But in hindsight, if you're out somewhere and you've paid, or you've done something like that, like, who tells you to shush? If you're having a good time, then you embrace it. But there is some people that would just sit there in silence, even if it was their favorite music. You know what it's like if you go to a nightclub. There's many people that will sit on the edge and never get up and have a dance. They don't want to be seen having a good time. They will say they had a good time because the music was great and all that sort of stuff, but they don't look like they're having a good time. And this is where I see his personality. I just feel that it sometimes he needs to go in, like, deep within himself. I don't quite know, how, because you can't force someone to do that. Sorry, just bear with me for 2 seconds. I've just got an issue. Why do these things happen? Okay. This particular person here, can you show me that you have? I've just had nothing come through, that's all. I just need to double check that. Sorry, Tammy. I know I can't pull his. Sorry, I just had to reconnect with Spirit there for a minute. I can't pull his personality out. I'd love to sometimes, because it's in him. It's in him to be able to. You said 2 and a bit years, yeah. Generally, by then, they trust you enough to let their guard down. I guess that's the other way of saying it. But I think he has this thing from childhood. Now, only you would know this. I don't like to guess, and I'm not hearing this part from Spirit, but I just have to say it because I feel it. I guess from childhood that his parents weren't the type of parents who hugged or said, I love you, or anything like that. Because some people, when they haven't, and this is my counselling hat now, because when people haven't had that as a child, they can either go 2 ways. They will tell everybody they love them, and most times mean it, or they won't say it at all because they've never had it said to them. So they don't understand how that feels. They understand how it feels not to get it, but they don't want to say it and feel like it's not reciprocated. Does that make sense? So I just feel with him that personality wise, it's just a little bit scared for him to come out and say it. Will things develop further? Yes, they will. Like, I don't have any qualms about, you're saying, 2.5 years and it hasn't really have progressed as such. Do I see a wedding ring right now? I'm going to actually say no, to be honest. What I see, though, is him kind of, I don't know what line of work he's in. He talks a bit at his work, so he uses that, but comes home and doesn't say a great deal. Okay. Sorry, I'm just kind of repeating what Spirit is kind of showing me in my head. Can you? I know this sounds a little bit weird. Can you? Because I know things are tough in a few different areas, and I'll say that with respect. But can you probably introduce a date night at home? Can you surprise him with? I don't know why I see like a small table as such. Okay, I've got 4 people in my head pulling me from pillar and post. This small table that I see, I'm not sure if it's actually in your place or his. It seems to be a small square table. If you can surprise him one night, if it's at your house, surprise him one night and have him come round, but have that set up like a restaurant table, with some, a little vase with a little couple of flowers in it, whatever. But all the napkins, all the cutlery all lined up and whatever. And even if you have to order in food where there's actually like 3 courses, like have this dinner type thing. And to me, have that connection across a table is really, really important. So Spirit tells me that it should be done on a Wednesday night. I don't know why Wednesday is significant, but I hear Wednesday is the night to do it. I also, wow, I also hear that he has a little bit of a sweet tooth, but don't have anything too sweet. I don't know what the relevance of that is either. However, I do want to say to you, don't think that your relationship is a stalemate. Don't think that it's not going to progress. You just have to be patient. And look, I know that you said that 2.5 years, but it doesn't. Just because he's quiet doesn't mean there's anything wrong. And I know probably in your mind at some point, because he's not talking, you might think that there is something wrong, but he's just not a talker in general. So I don't feel that there's anything wrong. Is the progress of things progressing further a little bit slow? Yes, it is. Is he hesitant? Yes, he is, but not because of you. I want to come back to whatever went on in his childhood. He will never rush anything. It's like when he makes decisions on something, it's almost like he procrastinates over it like for a day or so before he will make a decision. Nothing is like this. Nothing is quick, quick, quick. So I'm mindful of that as well. But I know that in my heart, I know that, the love is there. And I also know that you're a woman of patience. Please utilize that patience and don't fear what you don't know. So probably your subconscious thinks that there's something wrong because there's not so much expressing, there's not so much of talking about one another's feelings. But to me, that is just him. I'm not actually worried. And if I was, I'd actually tell you. And I probably even want to go 18 months before there might be a permanent solution with the two of you, and you know what that means. And whether that's him just sort of like, saying, I love you so much, can I put a ring on your finger? Then that's a great thing. But again, the way he says it is probably not as extravagant as others, I will say, but it's him. It's part of his personality that you know. It's part of the personality of him that you love. And what I say is, if you have one another and that love is there, which I believe it is, then is the ring and that all that so important? Because there's some people that don't even have someone who loves them. So, they don't have someone who wants to be with them or anything like that. So, you know, I just want you to be patient, because the more you're patient, the longer all this thing is going to go. Yeah. And I just want to see if you've jumped in with anything. Okay, Tammy, you're not wasting your life. Please don't think that. It's more about he's taking the time, because that's just who he is, That's who he is. I mean, that's part of the reason. If I dare to say it's part of the reason that you fell in love with him in the beginning, because he's not racing into anything. He's not the flamboyant this, that he's not the person that's over the top. Do you know what I mean? So I feel he's so much worth having around. And I love that you can be extremely patient with him. Yeah. I think it's a nice thing. I really do. I really do. Okay. Shayes, the answer to your question is no. I don't have anything through from you. So no, I wasn't. I don't have anything from PayPal from this person or this person. Yeah. So if you can let me know about that, that'd be good. Tammy, look, you're more than welcome, my love. It's like I just feel it's, to me, I get excited. Does that sound weird? But I get excited because it's a cute thing, it's a different thing, and just the way he is it's not like your norm. And I say that with respect, because it's it's just that little bit different. And if I dare to say, if he was fast paced or anything different, the connection that you guys have may not be the same. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, yes, I've just received yours. But I had Sarah here first. Sorry, Sarah, I'll be 2 seconds. Okay. Is there anything I need to know about my life at the moment, please? Thank you. Oh, Sarah, that is so broad. Oh, it's all good. Let's see what's coming up for you, my love. Is there anything specific you actually wanted to know? Because I still don't have yours, my love. I have Jais, but I don't have yours. Sarah, if there's something that you really want me to tap into, otherwise, generals, we could be here for a long time. I'll just wait a moment and see. Yes, Jaish, you're after Sarah. And then I'll need your question, of course. Okay. Career, love life, or family? Okay, wow. Cards are jumping. That's because I have too many spirits here. I've opened the doorway. They're all coming in. They're all coming in. They're all chucking wobblies. No, they're not really. I just say that. That's okay, Sarah, because this is the chance, really. If you have something specific that you really want to know, this is your chance to get that out. Oh, and there's another card flying. So I've got to look at all these cards that are flying. Okay. what I want to say to you before I touch on anything in particular, and I'm sure you'll let me know if there is a very pressing question, is that probably for the last 8 or 9 months, you've kind of, you're kind of stalemate. You're kind of too many things going on in your mind, too many things that you could be doing, might be doing, want to be doing, but you don't. And if you know me, you do know that I say everything with the greatest respect. But when I feel that sort of sensation from spirit, that's like you have so many things in your head, so many ideas, and so many probably chances of career changes, but too scared to do that leap of faith, too scared to kind of go, do you know what? This is what I really want to do, but how the hell do I get there? Excuse my French there. But that's how spirit was saying. There is part of you that really wants to jump. Part of you really wants to say, do you know what? This is what I really want, but I don't know how to get there, so therefore I won't do it. And part of that leads me to, to probably you not putting there the specific question, and whether that's because you're feeling a bit hesitant or not really knowing what to ask, or whether you just wanted to sit on the fence. That's okay. I mean, there's no right or wrongs. Do you know what I mean? Everybody that's still here, please don't ever think that I'm criticizing anyone for anything, because I'm not. Sometimes when I hear from spirit, it is so involved that I have to say it like I'm lecturing you. So please don't take me any other way, because that's not what I'm about, okay? And if you've seen me before or heard me, you know that I'm not about that at all. I'm more about directing you into what I hear, because I have that, great connection, okay? You're always too scared of the what ifs. Well, do you know what, Sarah? Let me fix that for you tonight. Stop thinking about what ifs. This is your problem. What ifs aren't here yet. I teach people, I go through healings and have counseling sessions on people that live their life by what ifs. A what if hasn't happened yet. A what if is not going to happen unless you keep thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. Now, if it's and I have to kind of clarify what I mean by that. So if you're scared of doing something, and it's all about, what if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if I stuff up? What if I make a huge mistake? What if I go bankrupt? These are the things that you're putting out to the universe. Now I am sounding like I'm lecturing. I'm really sorry. But that's what you're putting out to the universe. There is a favorite meme or something I saw on Facebook a very long time ago. It was a bird standing on a tree branch and another bird saying, aren't you frightened to fall or something or other? And they said, no, but I'm thinking about how I can fly. So don't always think about the failure. Don't always think about what if this doesn't work, because that's what you're asking the universe to give you. The clear example of that is if you keep telling yourself you're clumsy because you bark your toe, and then you say, God, I'm clumsy. I'm so clumsy. Oh my God, I'm so clumsy. You will bark your toe again. And then you'll say, I knew I was clumsy. I told you I was clumsy. And then you'll bark your toe again. And you start to believe you're really, really clumsy. But this is what you're putting out to the universe. So I would hope as of tonight, there is no what ifs, because what ifs haven't happened. And when you're thinking about a what if, when you go to bed, your subconscious is alive and well, because your subconscious never sleeps. It's your conscious mind that sleeps. Your subconscious will mull over all these what ifs, and they'll make you very, very scared to try it, because you're always thinking. The subconscious loves to pick up on the negativity. That's why I don't like what ifs. It's like, if someone says, well, what if I fail? But what if you fly? Stop taking on board the negatives. If you sit down, because I think your career path is kind of stuck, and I think that that's where you kind of sit there and go, I really don't know what to do. Take some time for yourself, sit quietly, work out what your passion is. When you work out what your passion is and you want to do it, then, and it's only then, you'll realize what you're truly passionate about. And if you don't know how to go about it, you'll research it to go about it. That's not a what if. That's you, like you sitting there going, do you know what? I really want to do this. It's not saying you're scared to do it or what if I fail or whatever. It's you saying, I really want to do this. This is what I'm really passionate about. And if you're not actually doing that, find a way to do it. My whole world revolves around what I'm passionate about. I know without having an ego, without skydiving my own boat, I know I'm very good at what I do because I've been doing it for years. I was born when I was 3, I was talking to my first lot of spirits. Okay. I've been ridiculed all my life about being, oh, but how do you know that? Oh, someone must be telling you in your ear because you're fake. I've had all that hoo-ha. I would not do live TV on Psychic TV where you're thrown into the mix of someone just, throwing out a question, someone emailing you, whatever the case may be, and saying the answers. I wouldn't put myself here on social media to be ridiculed if I knew I wasn't 100% correct with connecting with spirit. This is my passion. This is who I am. My other passion, of course, is my counseling, where I help others in a different way. This is what I know is mine. Now, for years, I actually couldn't do this. For years and years and years, I felt I had to be employed by somebody, paid by somebody, get guaranteed money every week so I knew I could pay my bills. And yes, that's always a great thing. And everything about Ms Tique was always in the middle of the night or on the weekends and cramming everything in. And, was that good for me? Was I helping someone else make money? Yeah. Was I building up their business? Yeah. Was I helping them succeed? Yes. And that's not me being angry with those people because I chose to do that because I felt comfortable in taking a wage. Think outside the square. I knew, I've had Ms Tique up and running for years, but I haven't given it 24/7 like I can give it now. So this is what I'm saying. And through COVID and all the rest of it, when you make a decision, when you understand what you're truly passionate about, you will find ways instead of saying, what if I fail? What if I can't? What if I can't manage this? What if I can't manage that? But what if you can? And if you try something and you actually aren't making enough, there's always, well, do something else like at the same time until you can build it. There's always ways of figuring it out. I had to be totally comfortable. I was stressed to the max because, certain things were, I wasn't treated respectfully. And I made that decision. I could keep going being safe. And I chose not to, I chose not to, because I thought I know who I am. I know what I can do. And it won't bring me thousands. It won't, I won't be some rich person sitting on a beach, but I get to do. When people need me, I get to do what I'm passionate about. And this is what life is about. I couldn't be more passionate. Like you couldn't get a more passionate person than myself. And some people think that's over the top. But look at all you guys tonight where I've connected with your loved ones and I've told you things that I've got no idea of. That's brought you peace. That's brought you answers to your questions. You're all happy. You're all, and some things have made you sad, but some things it's made you sit back and realize that, things will be okay. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And, I really do understand what you're saying. I'm passionate about mental health, especially in young people. I feel like I'm being drawn to be doing this. Okay, now don't take this as a bad thing. Where you say you feel like you're being drawn to doing something like that, you have to really feel it. I want you to probably spend the next week, a couple of hours of a night time, just with a notepad and pen. And just quietly, like I see in your picture, there's a couple of people in your picture, and I'm not sure who they are, but start writing down what you feel that you want to do, and whether they're bullet points, whether they're just words that come to you, and then don't reread it every night. Just pick it up and write. Just have quiet moments. Just kind of get lost in your train of thought about what you're really passionate about doing. Not all the hows, ifs, whatever. just what comes to mind about what you're passionate about doing. And you'll find at the end of the week, when you do actually look back at it, said no cheating. Because I know you'll want to cheat every night and reread what you've written. But I'd like you to do it at the end of the week and then reread what you've written for the whole week. And that's when everything will just be right in front of your face. It's all been in your head for a very long time, but it's all been clouded in your head for a very long time because you keep telling yourself that you can't do it. You keep finding ways of what if this, what if that, what if this, what if I fail? Well, sweetheart, what if you can fly? It's not a hard affirmation to have in your head. Overrides the failure word. And I always believe anyway that there's no failures in life. If you actually think that you've failed at something, you haven't failed. You've learned a lesson. And lessons are very powerful to learn in life because once you learn from a lesson, you will understand the process a lot more. You know, we've got to learn by lessons. And if someone says, oh, they're just bloody mistakes, well, if you want to call them that, that is so negative. But I say, wow, well, I won't be doing that again because I've just learned from that. And that feels a whole lot better than, oh, God, I'm stupid, I stuffed up. It's all about certain ways we talk to ourselves. The subconscious will clutch anything that's negative because that's what the subconscious loves to do. You know, I've studied psychotherapy and counselling for 8 years now. You know, the subconscious can do some very, very powerful things because it affects our self-esteem, it affects our self-confidence, it affects our self-worth, it affects even how we accept other people in the way they treat us, all this sort of stuff, because it rolls, it doesn't sleep. So if you go to bed with the old saying of don't argue with your husband, like, before you go to bed or as they're walking out the door, because that bad energy and that negativity stays with that person the whole time. And then the story just gets greater and greater in the head. And then it comes, excuse my French again, but it becomes a shit fight. Yeah. And I apologize for that, but that's it. I had to say it that way because that's how it happens. Yeah. So you, my sweet, I actually need you to kind of, well, I shouldn't say I need because it's not up to me. It's up to yourself. But if you spend that time in a week and write down all the things that you're passionate about, you'll actually see a pattern. And if it is, excuse me, and I believe it is the mental health route, but what you'll end up finding, I love that so much. I'll work on that for the next week. No cheating. Thank you so much. I love that. No cheating. You've just written yourself a contract, love. And that's a good thing. Because at the end of the day, if you look back every night, you might change something. I don't want you to change something. I just want this to be you fully focused on you. And every thought that comes in your head, write it down. Because at the end of the week, that's when you'll look at it. And especially if you're looking at mental health, you'll see the pattern in where you're actually drawn to. And, you've already sort of spiked the younger generation, but you might specialize in something else because you'll see certain words that crop up in some of your writings. And this is where you'll just sit back and go, wow, now it's all in front of me. And it's not, what if I fail? What if I can't afford it? What if this? It's now about, okay, this is what I want to do. Now I have to work out the best way I can go about doing it. And if you need to do research on the internet about, whether you can do something in a diploma instead of going to, to uni and something like that, well, then you'll find a way. Don't look at it as a negative because you will find a way and you'll be actually very, very good at it. So I really hope that's helped you. And I'm sorry if I sound like I was lecturing, but when spirit's in my head, telling me that I have to enforce something, I have to run with that. I really do have to run with it. And I just think that's a really lovely thing. And mental health. I mean, I have to look after loads of people that have gone, down that path, and yeah, it really is what it is. So look, generally for everybody that's here, if you're working in a role that you're actually not passionate about it, then every day you're bringing home negative energy. Every day you're kind of saying to yourself, why am I here? Well, that's a question that you do need to answer. And yes, the answer might be as simple as, oh well, it pays the bills and I can't do what I want to do right now. Well, that's okay to say that, but then create your goal. Give yourself a time frame. Otherwise, time will just go by day after day, and you'll still be just going and fueling someone else's pocket, and maybe not even being happy with what you're doing. Start owning your self-worth. Start saying, this is so important to me, because I matter. That's what you need to say to yourself. You have to own your self-worth, and it's not about being arrogant. It's not about having an ego at all. It's about understanding your self-worth. And I touched on something very early in the piece where I said things about, if you've got someone that lives close by but will continually text you and not actually pick up a phone and talk to you, or, meet you for coffee and find out the whole situation or story or whatever and just throw a line here or a line there, is that person then really valuing your worth? No, they're not, because that means that they don't want to, they don't want to have time with you to, maybe spend an hour on the phone, or maybe spend an hour having a coffee down the street or whatever. What they want is, when they've got a spare moment, they want to text you and just go, oh, hey, what's happening? Or, oh, I saw that you're doing this. How did that go? Or, what's new? That's not friendship. That's someone that wants to stick it back in your life. Because if it was friendship, they'd pick up the phone and ring you. They would want to, meet up with you and have a chat. Whether you go to their home, they come to yours, whether you go out and meet somewhere. These are all the things that, if you don't understand your own worth, then how do you expect anyone else to? The old saying, if you don't love yourself, how do you expect anyone else to? These things matter, yeah? I think you've just jumped back in, froze there, but want to know messages from brother who passed. Please, what happened? Okay. He may have been the gentleman that jumped in when I was talking to you before. Looked like, to be honest, looked like a bit of a surfer to me, and I didn't know who he was connected to, because he wasn't saying a great deal. In his mid-30s. I'm not sure if that's your brother, because he kind of darted in and darted out, and I don't have him right now. I don't know where he's gone. Oh, Sarah, no problem. No problem at all. He was 40, but not a surfer. So what is the surf related to then? Because the gentleman I had, it was kind of like, I still keep saying the surf. Surf. Why am I saying the water? Why, if he's not a surfer, why am I saying the water? Why am I also saying that? Can I ask? I know this is extremely personal. If you don't want to answer, that's okay. Did water have something to do with the end? Only because I keep saying water. And just while you answer that, Annalise, have I read Annalise? Yes, I have, haven't I? But Viv Kav, I think that's how I pronounce your surname, Kau. Nothing from you. Sorry. Water could be as ashes was at sea. Okay. Water was it? Okay. That probably makes more sense why I keep saying water. Because when I saw the water, I also felt this calming sensation. And as much as I didn't want to, Annalise, haven't I done yours? Okay. As much as I didn't want to say that he passed in water, I just felt that it was so calming. So if his ashes are spread there in water, that's probably why I get the calming. But I still get this young bloke who shows me. So I'm going to move off the surfer because I need to kind of focus on why he's actually saying that to me, why he keeps saying or presenting himself in that manner. So the only other way I can think of if he's presenting himself in that manner, and you're saying he's 40, and I said early 30s, so he's obviously smiling about that because I think he's younger than what he actually looks like. Was he then a person, and still is a person, that really liked to take care of himself, really liked to, when I say look the part, I don't mean show off as such, but looked the part in took time to, if he was going somewhere, took time to look nice. And look, I want to say probably throughout his life he was a little bit ridiculed for that, because almost like someone was saying, what always takes you so long to get ready? So that was a bit of a backhanded comment that came there, and I think actually somebody actually did say that to him. Okay, this is going to be delicate. I actually need to go back to your question. I have to actually say to you, to be quite honest, I'm unsure why you don't know why he passed. Or sorry, not why, how. I see distance, which I also hear the word estranged. So that doesn't make sense. Come on, Spirit, that doesn't make sense. So was there a lot of distance with you guys? Like, did something happen and there was a lot of distance? Because to me, I get shown that he's like a fun-loving person, but I'm not sure what this distance bit is. Okay. Okay, I've got to put what is a weird way of saying it. The spirit that I have to put that spirit to bed, because I don't, and I have to say it out loud so they understand. I don't believe it's your brother. I believe it's someone else trying to come through, and obviously someone who has something to say, but I can't find an owner for that. That sounds horrible. I can't actually. Spirit doesn't even give me a name. Wow. I haven't had this kind of thing for years, where I can't connect spirit to where they need to go. So I'm just going to put that one to bed for a little moment, just so I can get a lot of the stuff that he is saying out of my head. If I continually say I'm putting him to bed, then he'll understand that I need to. I have to be very respectful of spirit. I'm not pushing him aside. What I'm doing is I need to put him to bed because I actually at the moment can't find a connection. So respectfully, spirit, I put you to bed until I can get to who I believe that you are for. Okay. All right. Jade, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to wait to see spirit jump in. Okay. All right. What I need to kind of touch base with you on, and I really don't want to go into huge amounts of detail because I even want to say from spirit that there is a bit of unknown there. 3 years. 3 years seems to be what I'm being shown of an underlying condition they didn't know about. What is that? Underlying condition you didn't know about. So may I ask you, if I may, he's showing me fatigue. He is showing me, I have a youngish gentleman with me who I want to say their hair is kind of shoulder length, but has lovely eyes. I want to say has lovely eyes. Kind of a person that kind of a person that can talk with their eyes. I mean, there's people. I mean, I talk with my eyes and my hands, and people love that, and some people hate it. But he seems to me comes across that he could talk with his eyes. So lots of nice expressions on his face. But then I get told 3 years. So he had this particular condition for 3 years and nothing was ever picked up. So am I with this, what I say, this shortish hair? Not that the hair's got anything to do with it, but I'm just saying that's what I'm being shown that the person has. Would it be fair to say that as much as he was a happy-go-lucky person and nothing really bothered him as such, oh, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. the hair, why are you taking me back to childhood? Oh my goodness. Okay, this kind of knockabout, not take too much seriously. Shorty kind of wavy hair that, with his laughing and whatever. This is back in childhood. So maybe you can actually enlighten me on that. And I don't know why he wants to go back to childhood. But this is someone who was probably a little bit outgoing, not to the degree that was in your face as much, but yeah, just someone who really enjoyed life and embraced it for what it was, but didn't pay too much attention to, oh, I must do this or I must do that, or so forth. And that's not me saying that he was a bad eater or a heavy drinker or anything like that, but just kind of took things as is. Now, when some people have that sort of personality, they also don't worry about what others, in life sometimes focus too much on. And would it be fair to say that probably not so much a lover of needles? Wow, okay. I'm being shown not the shake of the head to needles. Why is needles so important then? Why am I being shown needles? Wow, okay. I'm getting a really mixed bag here. He's jumping from childhood to adulthood. When somebody jumps this much, I have to be perfectly honest in saying that there's, it reflects the kind of the personality. I have to say, it reflects the personality. It's like they can't tell you everything in one hit. To us it comes, I hate needles, but he was okay with it. Okay, so is the needle Spirit always, says things that, I have to siphon out what, some people say, some spirits will say a lot where it's really easy to pick up the whole sentence, and then some people are just, jumping from thing to thing. But when I got shown the shake of the head to needles, obviously that's a reference to you, so we can, safely say, and this is probably the jumping to and from where sometimes I feel, oh my God, don't tell me I've got another spirit that's not going to connect, that will show me something that is relevant to you and you only. So if you have that connection with the no to needles, then that's obviously we're on the right path here, which I appreciate him showing me that. But also too, there's a question mark around him. Did he not believe when he was told what he actually had? Did he kind of go away and, I mean, I say with respect when I say, didn't take it seriously. It was almost, but it was not that he didn't. It was not that he didn't take it seriously. It was more about the shock of how could this happen to me, because I've got no symptoms type thing. I don't feel like, that I'm ill. I don't feel like I'm being told the right information. This is how it's coming through. So if he was in a confused mind state for a long time, this is obviously why still today there's not the plain cut things that he's coming through with. I believe he thought that it wasn't going to take him, to be quite honest. And I say that with respect, because he's kind of he just continually shakes his head at me. And when I have spirit continually shaking his head, it drives me nuts. Sorry. I don't mean to sound disrespectful. It's correct. That's exactly what was a shock, and we all thought it was muscle. As cause of me forcing him to do training. Okay. The forcing of training, I don't think. Yes, he also said so. Yeah, but it's my fault, and I'm sorry I never saw him in time. Look, okay, I need to kind of get into your mind a little bit here. This is not your fault. It is really not your fault. Like, you're taking on board because you got him to train, because you got him to do this, that it's your fault. Even if he didn't, because it wasn't, because this cancer was underlying, then it wouldn't matter whether he went to the gym or not. It wouldn't matter whether he did what, you got him to do or not. It is not your fault. That sort of mindset stops today. Because he could have been, and I have to be honest here, I know it's sad. And I'm really sorry for your loss, and I know it hurts, and I know, you guys have probably got unanswered questions for a long time. But whatever he was doing, if he was sitting on the couch watching TV and you got that diagnosis, it's not your fault. It still would have been that same diagnosis. And it is a hard thing to swallow when you get given a diagnosis like that. But the shock that everybody felt, which is probably why he didn't kind of relate. And if you're with him, or if he told you, that's great. It's probably why he didn't relate to the doctor as such in telling him, because I don't think he wanted to go back, because I don't think, he could actually understand what was actually happening to him, because there wasn't a lot of symptoms. And this was the unfortunate, and I won't call it an error, but this was the unfortunate thing. But I am concerned. I mean, I know you want to connect with your brother, but I am concerned that you're taking all this on board yourself. And that's why, he doesn't want you to take this on board, because he's the one that's saying, if I was watching TV, the doctor was going to tell him the same thing, None of that was going to change, my love. None of it was going to change. And, I'm sorry that you actually have taken that on board. Because it's really hard when we lose someone. There's many people in this world that blame themselves for I didn't see the signs. I didn't see this. There was normal activity. Why did this happen? Universe always tells us that things happen for a reason. I don't want to be in your shoes, as in, the pain that you're feeling. But also too, he was confused himself, he couldn't understand it, because it was like, well, I did all the right things, why me? But again, when, unfortunately, in car accidents, sometimes a second before, if you had left home a second before, you may not have been in that car accident, and therefore you may not have passed. If something is wrong, in hindsight, if it was very, very quick, which I believe it was, then it hasn't made him suffer. Like, there's people that might get a cancer where they suffer for a couple of years before they actually pass, and that's horrible for anyone to watch their suffering and their pain. I'm not saying it makes it right about him going quick, but he himself didn't have to suffer, if that makes sense. Or I can send, him or your love, and vice versa, because that's what I get shown, these open arms and this bond, the bond that you have together, which is probably an easy out for you, and I mean that with respect, for an easy out for you to take on the blame, because you want to blame somebody. You want to blame someone for taking him too soon, but there really is nobody to blame. Cancer is a horrible thing. And cancer can attack the fittest of people, the healthiest of people, or it can attack someone that's not the healthiest person. It doesn't discriminate, and that's the awful thing about cancer. But I feel for you, but please know that he is safe. Please know that he is in no pain, and please know that hug for one another, is wonderful. It's warm, it's inviting. I love the connection that you have. And if anything, wherever you're living, I'm being shown to the right. So left to you, right to me. If you're sitting on your couch, whatever is to the right of you, take note of that. I think it's something to do with him. Or there's a picture somewhere or there's something that you have of his that's to the right of you. Embrace that. Yeah, embrace that. Okay, I normally don't go longer than 2 hours, so we're 2 hours 17. So I am going to. Oh, Kim, hello. Welcome. Lovely to catch you, and I'm going to go. To everybody that has joined tonight, to everybody, I mean, I know I would probably have missed many, but that's why I have the, if you want a guaranteed reading, then you can, pop the or donate the $10 into my PayPal. That will guarantee you one. But yeah, gone way over time. So I thank you all for joining. It's been a pleasure connecting to Spirit, as I love to do. Everybody that's validated, I thank you for the time that you've taken to let me and let everybody else know on the feed that when I've connected to your spirit and to your loved one, that it is true and it is accurate. And I appreciate that feedback. If anybody would like to go onto my Ms Tique Psychic Medium page and actually leave a review of your experience tonight, that would be, awesome. You don't have to, but of course that would be awesome if you can. And as I said earlier in the piece, I will be coming back to doing this regular weekly. Next week I probably can't, because I'll be with my bestie, who's going through a bit of a rough time, and she's got an op coming up, and we will get through that, and I will be the one perking her up, making sure she's comfortable and giving her all the love that I can, and making sure that all goes okay. So I probably won't do next week. If anything, if I can't sleep maybe one night next week, I might jump on from where I am and do something, but I won't promise you that. So yeah, but after that, we'll be back to doing regular weekly. So I thank you for always tuning in. I thank you for everybody who loved, liked, and shared the live feed. And as I said, anyone who has gained a reading for me tonight. And I think there's one that I missed. Is that correct? Annalise. Oh, that just triggered back in my head. Annalise, are you still here? If Annalise is still here, I will wait and I will do that one. Otherwise, I will leave everybody. But Annalise, can you please let me know if you're here? Oh, okay, Annalise, you're still here. Okay. Do we have a question? Annalise, I'm glad you're still here. Have you actually got a question? Okay, so I'm going to look at your picture. Oh, he sent me a message. Okay. Okay, you've got a couple of questions. Oh, okay. Just popped it up there as well. That's a lot. Sweetheart, you need an hour reading with me. Oh, you need to book in and have a complete session, my love. Anyway, let's have a look. Wow, okay. Okay, I want to just I'm glad you're laughing about that because trust me, sweetheart, you would need an hour session with me with all these. But that's okay because it's some of the questions to you might be small, but the responses would be long, if that makes sense. But I actually want to touch on you in particular at first with all this bad news and everything that's been around you of late. That's really, really unfortunate. However, the universe kind of tells me that everything has a cycle, and apparently, oh, that's an awful way of saying it. Really, Spirit, come on. It's more about they said everything has a cycle, and therefore there's a few things that have happened to happen at once because of that particular cycle. And I think I apologize. I think that sounds really bad, but I always repeat, what Spirit says. But also too, I'm mindful of how stressed you are in your current situation as well as the situations that have happened in the last, what I want to say, actually 9 to 10 months. There seems to have been that 9 to 10 months block where a lot of things, apart from some bad things that you've heard, a lot of things have gone wrong, even in your own life and even in your own relationship as such. And I want to say to you that I actually feel that in part of that time, you've actually been at loggerheads, which is not a very nice thing, but there still seems to be something that's unresolved. And whether you've, again, with respect, but whether you've actually now got some resentment towards somebody, because there seems like there's a block there now. There seems like a lot's been said and a lot you've been trying to achieve, but some things have fallen on deaf ears. And now there's a bit of resentment. Does that make sense to you? I just feel that we have to move past this resentment because the resentment will actually stop you from moving forward in a few things, not just your relationship, in a few things that that you want to even get on with life. We've got to jump past this resentment. And at the end of the day, not everybody is going to agree to everything that you say or they say or whatever the case may be, but there has to be a happy medium, pardon the pun, because you have to come together as one. Okay, You understand where I'm going with it? Because without coming together as one and understanding that you're both in it for the right reasons, then you're really going to stick your foot in with like tough resentment. The hard yards that you've done as a couple, I want to say to you, there's probably 2 issues that are still outstanding. Don't talk about them together, like as in like, talk to one another together, but don't talk about the 2 scenarios together at the same time. Keep them separate. So have a conversation about one, but Spirit tells me not for about 2 or 3 weeks. So whatever's kind of going on in the next 2 or 3 weeks, obviously not the right time to have a conversation. So you need to kind of look at what's coming up in about 3 weeks' time, where you can have the conversation about one of those particular issues, and the one that you feel is more pressing in the answers that you need. That's the one. But I say with respect that you need to keep that conversation at an even keel. There's no point having a screaming match. Nobody listens in a screaming match. In fact, everybody tunes off in a screaming match, and nothing is going to be achieved. And I understand there's frustration and there's anger, but when we speak with anger, the other person really doesn't hear it. The other person then go, oh, bugger that, and just walk away, and nothing goes in the ear. And what have you achieved? You've got angry, wasted all that energy, nothing has been heard. So therefore, you then walk away all cranky because they haven't heard a thing that you've said, and nothing will get resolved under those sorts of scenarios. So that has to be looked at a little bit deeper. And with the greatest respect, I also hear that sometimes, and horrible for me to say, but sometimes one of you, and I'm looking at you, flies off the handle. Okay. And that is said with respect. Like, I don't say anything that is, that I hope no one, takes away anger from what I say, but because I only just say what I hear. I don't know you, so I don't know that you have that, but I hear that from Spirit. But in the same breath, I also hear that with a bit of resentment, that you also put a barrier up, and with putting it, excuse me, with you putting a barrier up, then that means that part of you is cut off from absorbing all the information that you're being given. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that. Okay, you jumped in. I couldn't agree more. My sister is in hospital, and I have been caring for my nephew here and there, and my partner isn't too happy about it. Plus, I have uni exams coming up. Both are big events in the next few weeks. Okay, all right. Get all that stuff out of the way. No, that then confirms don't have those conversations in this time. If your partner isn't too happy with what you're doing, I mean, with all due respect, you can't help that your sister is in hospital and you're caring, for your nephew. I don't know whether that has caused you some resentment just outright there, because you can't help that. You've got to help. The poor little nephew, his mum's in the hospital, like it's your sister. Maybe just go about those days without taking on board that sort of information. I know if he has said something, you don't like it, and it's already been said, so he can't take it back. But don't get up every day thinking, oh, I've got to do this for my nephew and my partner's going to hate it, blah, blah, because that's making you negative. That's making you more frustrated. That's making you kind of going, this is really a chore. And yes, you've been thrown a curveball, but none of us can help it if we've been sent to hospital or whatever the case may be. Everybody has to do the best they can do in a difficult situation. Now, if you want to talk about your partner about that later, when everybody's out of hospital and everybody's fine, you can have a general conversation and sort of say, you know what, I really would have loved your support back then because I didn't know what else to do. It's as simple as that. But don't wake up every day saying that you're angry with him for that, because that's going to bring your, days down, and even bring your own self-esteem down, because you're doing the right thing. You're absolutely doing the right thing. Your sister can't help where she is. And I'm sending all my love and special hugs to her to get better soon, because nobody likes to be in a hospital. We all feel a little bit alone when we're in a hospital, so nobody likes that. But if she's in hospital, she's in there for a reason. So I send her, loving and healing energy for her to get better. And that's just not for, to get you out of a situation. I really mean that, from the bottom of my heart. But, Your partner will probably realize that himself when it's actually over. Some men, sorry to say if he's listening, but some men don't think, and they say things at the wrong time. But you also in the next few weeks, and I know you've got your nephew, but you also need to focus on, your upcoming exams, because that's important to you, and you don't do like a year or a couple of years of study for it to go down the gurgler. Yeah. So yeah, if you can be a bit stubborn is the word I hear, and put in your diary where you mark some hours out to actually do study, then you'll actually sit and do it. When we put it in our phone diaries, if you put it in like an appointment, you'll actually do it rather than say, yes, I'll do that, I'll do that next week, or I'll do that, on the weekend or whatever. And time just goes. So be a bit careful with your time and actually block it out on that, if that makes sense. Because that's really, really important. Thank you very much for that. I can definitely be stubborn. See, I told you I say everything with respect, because it'll only resonate with you, nobody else. But you need to give yourself that time, to take a breather away from your brain being so I can't even think of the word now. See, I've been going too long. Being so careful with looking after your nephew and trying to do all the right thing, taking on board a little bit of negativity from your partner from doing that, and then trying to focus on your studies at the same time. Please try and clear out some of the negative energy that's in your mind. So when you sit down and study, that's actually what you're doing, yeah? Because that's what you need to do. And it's more about, and I know you asked me to connect with your dad, who you lost a few months ago, and I'm really sorry that he has passed. Nobody from Spirit World has jumped in at this point. And you know what? That's okay, because also too, to be perfectly honest, and this is not me trying to get out of, reading for you, because if I get him later, I will certainly text you and let you know. Because sometimes spirit don't come through. My own father didn't come through for 5 years after he passed, and that's not because he didn't want to. It was actually because he was too scared to. Because him and I had some hiccups through life. But now he's one of my main spirit guides, and he has done, since that took him that 5 years. He passed in 1995. He came through, 5 years later. Now I can't get rid of him. But he knows I say that as a joke, so that's all good. But I don't have a male energy here that I can bring through to you right now. And I've still got my gateway open. Now that could mean, it can mean one of two things. One, he's not ready to come through. Could be, could be a what can I say? If he's not ready to come through, it could be that he's going through like a healing mechanism thing for himself, because when we lose someone, spirit is just energy, and sometimes what they passed of requires them to rejuvenate their energy, if that makes sense. So if it is something in that form, then he could be still rejuvenating his energy before he wants to come through. The only other reason why is because he was a non-believer. And if someone is a non-believer when they pass, it takes them a lot longer to realize that that it is true and that they actually can come through, if that makes sense. So it's generally one of those two things. But as I said, I don't have him right now. But because you messaged me, I will actually meditate after here, and I will see if I can get him to come through, because he's certainly not here with me right now. And I'm happy to do that. Because I know it would be nice if you could hear from him. Now, I'm not promising that he will come through, but all I can do is try. Yeah. I feel as though that may be the case. I've been trying to connect with him since he passed, and I have connected twice, one in meditation and once in a dream not long after he passed. He was definitely a believer, though. Okay, well, that's great that he was a believer, and that's great that you've already had a connection with him, because some people don't ever, get a connection. What I want to say to you, if you connected with him shortly after he passed, then his energy was still here. And that, that's not a bad thing. It just means that the transition hasn't been probably as quick as normal. So yeah, I don't want you to write it here of how he passed. I might have a look at that a little bit later, and work out why that transition may have taken a bit longer than normal. But as for some of your other stuff, like where you're headed, you've got some things to work out with your partner. That's probably the best way I could say there, because and things have probably gotten a little bit worse for wear with this resentment that's creeped in. But you will get past that. I'm confident you will get past that. It's more about you didn't want to hear it at the time that everything's happening around you, and therefore you're running around trying to keep everything great and keep everything together. But yeah, things have you kind of didn't need that information in your head, because now you're the subconscious is just grabbing at it. So that just be wary that resentment doesn't get any deeper, because that will affect you. And I certainly don't want it affecting you any more than it has right now. Okay. And I'm actually going to leave it there, because I need to get some water down my throat for a start. And I'm going to, Annalise, I am actually going to, I will have to be quite perfectly honest, I'll have a cup of tea, and then I will go into a meditation and see if I can connect with him tonight. And if I can't, I'll do it again tomorrow. So bear with me on that one. But it is when you do, and this is not a cop out, but when you do, because I'm happy to do it, I'm happy to still do it in my own time. When you connect with spirit as clearly and as much as I do, it is a little bit draining. So for me to already go 2 hours and 40 minutes, and all the connections I've had tonight have been mediumship. Like, none are really just pulling a card and saying bibs and bobs. They've all been mediumship. So to connect so deeply with spirit for this length of time can be draining. And I don't want to get anything wrong, because when you're tired, sometimes you can actually hear the wrong thing. And I'm very honest and upfront with even saying that. I dare say that some people wouldn't even say that on a live feed in case they got ridiculed. I'm not frightened of being ridiculed, because you guys have been with me for the whole show. So you know that I'm real, you know that I'm authentic. And Annalise, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And, you've waited patiently, and I almost missed you. But yeah, because I actually didn't see that notification come through. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for bearing with me for this long. It has been a long one tonight, but I thank you all. And as I was saying before, if you've had a connection with me tonight through spirit, and if you'd like to go onto my Ms Tique Psychic Medium page and leave me a review, because people want my service, or people want to connect with spirit because they read, great reviews. They don't want to connect with just anybody. They want to know they're connecting with somebody that's authentic. And that's how my business, your comments, your referrals, your reviews help me get on with my world, to help many others in the upcoming days. So I appreciate you, Beck. You're still here. My God, I thought you might have gone to bed. But thank you for sticking around, and thank you everybody else for sticking around. It's been a cracker of a night, as they say, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've thoroughly enjoyed connecting with all of you. Oh, there goes my name. And I look forward to connecting with you all very, very soon. Not, as I said, not next week, but very, very soon. So everybody stay safe. Everybody stay well. Keep warm. And thank you very much for joining. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.